That's Mr. Mistry. Thanks very much. Prashant here. How would you view the budget, sir?
I would say it's a very good budget. It's a very balanced budget. The government has taken a number of steps in recent times to try and facilitate businesses, create an atmosphere where private sector makes more investments. But in reality, private sector has not been investing. One of the reasons why private sector investments have been slow is because the stronger companies with good balance sheets are in sectors where there is already an excess capacity. So unless that excess capacity gets used up, they will not have room to make fresh investments. So in that context, it was critical, in my view, for the government to put a lot of focus on capex, particularly on short-term capex, where the results will come very quickly, which is effectively things like roads and bridges and railways and things like that. And that has, in my view, been done correctly. So the focus on infrastructure will result in a number of ancillary industries coming up in the private sector around the government investment.
Right.
And as the combined investment of the government with the private sector takes place, more jobs will get generated. As jobs get generated, more income will come about. And because of income, consumption will increase. As consumption increases, the excess capacity of some of these companies will start getting used up over a period of time, and they will then need to start investing again. So the critical thing is to get the investment cycle going, and in that sense, I think the finance minister has done a fantastic job.
Mr. Mistry, if you take a look at the capital expenditure, the basic thrust is they're spending more, right? They're not contrasting the fiscal. And I remember you telling us they shouldn't. Now, but if we've got the revenue and expenditure sheets now, if you look at the planned capital expenditure, right? Planned capital expenditure was budgeted at 1,20,000 crores. Planned capital expenditure. The revised number for planned capital expenditure now is about 90,000 crores. So they've shrunk the planned capital expenditure for fiscal 15 by 30,000 crores, right? From 90,000 crores, they're saying in fiscal 16 they'll spend 1,20,000 crores. That's an increase of 40%. But that's an unfair comparison because if you budgeted to budgeted, there is no increase in planned capital expenditure. If you take a look at the non-planned expenditure, they're saying they'll spend 1,06,000 crores, right? Now, in fiscal 16, they said they'll spend 1,05,000 crores. Revised, that's been revised to 90,000 crores. There is a meaningful slippage. From the revised to budgeted, there is an increase of 16%. But budget to budget, no increase. So where is this additional money? They've not brought down the fiscal deficit to 3.6. There's 3.9, 30 basis points higher than what was planned. But where is the money going? It isn't going into capital expenditure, plan and non-plan.
No. You've got to also look at the fact that 4.1 has come down to 3.9. Why are we looking at 3.6 going up to 3.9? 4.1 has come down to 3.9. Now, we have to understand the numbers better. I don't have the sheet before me, so I don't know how much the planned expenditure is and how much the non-planned expenditure is. But the sum and substance is that we need investments in the system. The finance minister, I heard him say that the divestment process will get stepped up. The divestment process will yield more revenue for the government, which will be spent for capex, and that would, to my mind, spur the economy.
Mr. Mistry, just wanted to get you on some of the directional sense of the budget, because when it comes to spending also, we do seem to be seeing some sort of a movement away from the subsidies of the past and the way the money was done, more into, first of all, direct benefits, making sure that happens. And also, when you're looking at the way that the government is going to be spending the money, lots of spending is being spoken about in infrastructure, in getting a social security net up and running. Directionally, are those the right ways to go about things?
Yes, absolutely. This is in my view, the right way to go about it. You need to focus on infrastructure. You need to focus on direct cash transfer scheme. And I think that's what they've done.
And medium to long term, having a roadmap that you announce corporate tax will come down. You don't do it right now. You say over the next 4 years we'll do it and phase out exemptions. Is that again the way you would ideally like things to be done in the budget? So that every time when we come to a budget speech, we're looking at it and we're saying what happened, what were the announcements made? Is it better to make it slightly more boring, lay out a roadmap for 3 or 4 years and saying, look, that's what we're going to keep doing?
I think that's the right way to go about it, because ultimately at the end of the day, I think I heard the finance minister say that the actual tax collection is only some 23, I think he said 23%. Now, if the corporate tax rate is 30% plus surcharge plus education cess, it comes to nearly 34%, 33.99% to be precise. So from 33.99%, the actual effective rate of taxation is coming to about 23%. So there is a slippage, or not a slippage, but there are benefits which are bringing in a reduction in the effective tax rate by as much as 10%. And therefore, if we were to have a lower tax structure with perhaps lesser benefits, then the difference between the companies which are paying 34% tax and companies which are paying much lower tax, that difference will narrow. So I think we have to understand, of course, what are the incentives which are being removed, and in what way that tax rate is going to come down to 25%. But in principle, I think it's a good move.
Any other key highlights you'd like to draw attention to?
I would say the fact that the finance ministers focus so much on taking out or removing all the black money from the system. Again, one has to understand in greater detail what schemes are there and things like that. But the focus on removal of black money, I think, is very, very positive. Because I heard the finance minister 2 or 3 years earlier saying that we have only 43,000 odd individuals who declare a taxable income of more than 1 crore of rupees. Now, I think that to me sounds really absurd. And the quantum of people who therefore have concealed income is obviously going to be much, much higher. And therefore, any measure that is taken to sort of reduce the generation of black money and suck some of that black money out of the system, I would rate that as being something which is very positive.
Mr. Mistry, I know you won't give me an answer, but let me give it a shot anyway. HDFC Bank merger, with this FII, FDI being treated?
No, I have no idea. That is something which we'll have to do. It's not the subject to discuss.
But what do you think this means? FII and FDI cap to be treated at par. How would it impact?
I don't know how it. I mean, very honestly, one has to understand what exactly the implication is. But my understanding is that the difference between FII and FDI, to my mind, is fairly artificial. And therefore, if you have one combined foreign ownership limit, whatever be that limit for different sectors, I think it's always going to be more positive, because saying something is FII and something is FDI just makes it very complicated.
Thanks very much, Mr. Mistry. Great talking to you. Appreciate you coming on.